Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the Resident Legal Diva, and it is time for another Daily Diddy. So, today the trial has begun. Yeah. The trial has begun in earnest, okay? So, we now have a jury. Now, as we remember, we were at 150, we got it down to 45, and now the question was going to be who was going to be the final jurors. Well, that question was answered this morning. We have 8 men and 4 women that are serving as the jurors, and then we have 6 alternates, which are 4 men and 2 women. So the alternates are there just in case one of the main jurors gets sick or something happens and they're no longer able to serve. So that was the first thing that got done this morning. They were sworn in. They then sat down and had to listen to opening arguments where the defense and the prosecution shared what they were trying to prove in their case. So first off was the prosecution's opening statements. They started talking about the web of control and power that Diddy had over Cassie as well as the other people in his orbit. He talked about how when Cassie tried to move on and have another guy in her life, he basically got in the car, forced a member of staff to take him over to the other guy's house, and literally when he found Cassie, he beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll. So this is a taste of what's to come in terms of the heart-wrenching and brutal testimony that the jury is going to have to sit through. The prosecutor gave them that trigger warning saying, listen, you're going to hear some things that are really difficult, but we need you to pay attention and be able to keep an open mind as well as come to a verdict in terms of his guilt or innocence. The prosecution also continued in their opening statements to talk about how Cassie came into the relationship at the age of 19. She had her first hit song and then ended up in this horrible, brutal situation with Diddy. That she tried her first freak off just because she loved Diddy and wanted to make him happy. But then over time, it became very clear that if she didn't do it, the consequences were going to be very severe and that she was going to be brutally beaten. That she also had to participate in these freak-offs where she had to have sex with sex workers, again, not consensual. She was being forced to use drugs, and that literally he would demand performances back to back to back, that folks had to keep sleeping with each other, all for his own gratification and pleasure. We also learned a little bit about one of the survivors who is going to be referred to as Mia, who is one of the personal assistants for Diddy, where he was sexually assaulting her over time and forcing her to keep quiet about the abuse that was happening in his world, in his orbit, in his different properties. Also, we started to hear a bit about the bribery aspect where Diddy gave $100,000 to the guard at the hotel where he beat Cassie in exchange for the video, and basically was telling everybody, keep their mouth shut. You didn't see anything. Nothing happened here. Well, we all know that the video got out and is going to be a central part of this case. And we're also about to hear from the security guard who witnessed what happened and saw Cassie being completely brutalized by Diddy. And again, this show started to show the broader pattern. So obviously the defense had plenty to say. First off, they said that Diddy was a jealous person, that he's a very complicated man, but did all the things he do rise to the level of a federal crime? Their position is no. They said that, quote, Combs is not proud of that, but he will own that he has a bad temper and sometimes he is so angry and jealous he gets out of control. He said that basically Cassie just feels some type of way because Kim Porter, who was the ex-wife of Diddy who passed away, was his quote-unquote love of his life. And when Cassie realized that she was never going to be the love of his life, then she left of her own accord. Yeah, okay. But about that video, though. So they also said that, yes, just because you love baby oil and you use drugs and have sex doesn't mean that you're a bad person and it's not a federal crime. So we know that we're going to be hearing from Cassie in the next couple of days, but we're also going to be hearing from two more survivors, one known as victim 2 and one known as victim 4. So victim 2 is referred to as Jane, that's a pseudonym, and Jane was a single mom who Diddy met back in 2020. They had a non-exclusive relationship, but the relationship very quickly turned into coercion, abuse, and violence. And then you have victim 4, who is referred to as Mia, and she is a former personal assistant for Combs, Diddy, who had worked for him for years, and basically he was sexually assaulting her and violating her from forever. So the big witness that we heard from today was the witness who is the security guard that was at the hotel when Cassie was being beaten, and that whole exchange happened where Diddy gave $100,000 in exchange for the tape. So the witness, Israel Flores, is now an LAPD officer, but at the time he was working security at the Intercontinental Hotel back in 2016. And so he received a call around 11 p.m. to go up and check on a woman that was in distress. He gets there, he sees Combs in a towel, and he sees a woman kind of in with a hood and all kind of like this. He didn't realize it was Cassie at the time. She tried to get up and leave and get her phone, and Diddy was like, "You're not going anywhere." So he literally put his body, he being the security guard, put his body in the doorway so that she can go and leave and get her phone. Then after that, Diddy literally throws $100,000 in the bag and says, "Don't tell anyone." He also had a physical confrontation, being Diddy, with the other security guards because he thought they were filming him. So he was trying to get aggressive with them, and they were like, not that kind of. The last important bit about Israel Flores' testimony is that he authenticated the tape that we all saw of Cassie being brutalized by Diddy. So what that means is, in legal terms, you need a witness to be able to say that this is an accurate video, it's an accurate portrayal of what happened that day. It wasn't edited, it wasn't taken out of context or anything like that, that this is a fair and accurate portrayal of the events that happened that night. So he was able to authenticate that for the court and the jury, and then the jury actually saw the video. So of course, what's going to be next is going to be the cross-examination of Israel Flores. I'll be sure to dig into that in the next video, as well as the witness we're all been waiting for, which is Cassie Ventura, a pregnant Cassie Ventura. So again, trial is underway. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye.